Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe.
Hi, Rob from roblandphoto.com with another short video review of a book I talked about in the podcast recently. This one is Ansel Adams, Yosemite and the High Sierra. A fantastic photo book. What we've got here are a collection of Ansel Adams' most famous photographs from that particular area. And as soon as you open the book and you feel the paper and you look at the quality of the prints, you understand that this is a book that's been put together with care and extreme quality. Ansel Adams obviously died in, I think it was 82, but the Ansel Adams Foundations makes sure that the people who do publish his books publish them and create them to the very highest standard. That's one of my favourite images, actually. So every single frame is really, really beautiful, and there's plenty of text as well explaining some of these images. And really, it has a whole gamut of photography, from sort of the classic sort of half dome shots through to some of his macro work. And what really comes across when you look at the prints in the book, obviously they're not as good as a actual photograph if you looked at it on a wall, but the quality of the detail and the depth of field of Adams' photographs really comes across. Obviously he's most well known for his grand vistas and grand views, but when he gets down to, I guess, ground level and he's amongst the trees, you still get all this fabulous detail. We can pick out almost every single leaf, all the textures in the bark. Really, really beautiful images. Lots of waterfalls. See if I can find a couple of my favourites. Another shot of Half Dome. Here we go, this is one I really, really like as well. So this is Cathedral Rocks, Yosemite National Park, taken in 1949. It's got the classics with the reflection in the lake, the massive granite monoliths up above, the sort of the clouds. Because one of the big differences with Adams' work is the fact that, unlike earlier photographers of the same subjects, he was able to take advantage of the more modern films with their higher speeds to not only record the fantastic textures and look of the rocks and the trees and everything, but the sky and the weather is really, really important. Basically the light that was being dappled across this fantastic countryside. And really, I think what we can really take from Adams, apart from enjoying these fantastically beautiful images, is the fact that he kept visiting places like Yosemite and the High Sierra again and again, going back year after year in different seasons to capture different looks. And we can take sort of this a little bit into our own photography as well, and I just kind of mentioned this in the podcast, and the fact that we may not have a Yosemite National Park on our back doorstep, that we can visit, but there will be somewhere fairly close to where you live that is very photogenic. You might not have discovered it yet, you may have walked past it, you may not have seen it in the right light, but what Adams teaches is look, keep going back to those places, keep taking pictures at different times of day and different seasons, because you'll be amazed at what you discover. The other thing obviously we take from Adams is the importance of being technically proficient with your camera and understanding the process of photography through visualization of an image, so deciding what your photograph is going to finally look like even before you take the picture or even arrive at the location, through to developing the image. Obviously these days on our computers in Photoshop Elements, etc. And then the final print as well. And I guess the biggest thing I sort of get from Adams is use a tripod and maximise your depth of field. Use a really crisp aperture and focal length on your camera, so it doesn't matter if you're shooting with a point and shoot or a £2,000 DSLR. Find out on your particular lenses which aperture and which focal length will give you the crispest shots with the best depth of field, and then use that. And obviously light is the big thing. He likes taking pictures in the morning, in the afternoon, so you can capture the dynamic range of the detail in the rocks right the way through to the details in the clouds. And a lot of this comes from taking photographs at the right time of day, so not at midday. But obviously Adams was a master of things like the zone technique and really understanding how exposure worked. I'm currently reading Ansel Adams' The Negative, which is part 2 of his photography series book. So hopefully in a week or so I'll do another review. I'll probably talk about the podcast first, where we'll talk about some of Ansel Adams' theories in how he can come up with so many incredibly well exposed sharp shots that just have so much contrast in, and just look so beautiful. But don't be fooled into thinking that he took the photographs like this. You know, when we look at shots of, I don't know, let's pick another one out that I really like. Where's the classic? That's a fantastic picture there. Frozen Lake and Cliffs, Sequoia National Park, 1932. He didn't just get his camera, look at his light meter and shoot the shot and then print the negative out sort of to a neutral grey final print. Adams understood and took advantage of everything he could to give his photographs more impact than they probably would have looked like at the time. So what he was trying to do is trying to strive to capture and really create the photograph in a way that it would bring the emotions to the viewer that he felt at the time looking at the view, which obviously means a lot of the time increasing the contrast. So he wasn't the sort of guy who would take a picture and then, you know, just print it out. He would be in the darkroom for hours and hours. On his more famous prints, over the years he would go back to the negatives and print them out again and again and again, taking advantage of any modern developments in new papers, new solutions, new darkroom techniques to bring the best out of his photographs. If Ansel Adams had Photoshop today, he would be doing exactly the same thing, but he would be using, you know, layers and burning and dodging and all sorts of things. We'll finish off the review just by looking at one of the more famous ones, Mount Williamson, Sierra Nevada, from Manzanar in 1945. It kind of really sums up a lot of Ansel Adams' work. We have fantastic detail right the way from the front of the image, which is nice and crisp, through to the mountains at the back. We have the play of the weather across. We have the beams of light shining down, the darkest sky, and the fantastic view. So, Ansel Adams, Yosemite and the High Sierra. It's I'm going to say it's not that expensive on Amazon. It's still about £30 odd, probably $50 if you buy it in the UK. But again, this is another copy. I ordered it from my local library, picked it up, got it for a month. Fantastic to look through, to gain inspiration and try and come up with ideas for your own photography. Right, that's Rob from robnonphoto.com. Thanks for listening.